Alrighty, hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Cryptic Coil, and in today's video, I have another book haul for you. I wanted to start slowing down on book hauls and focus more on reviews, but this one was just too good to not do, so I'm doing this one. Alright, real quick, so the backwards hat, I didn't have time to flat iron my hair yesterday or today, so I'm just kind of covering it up with a hat. But not just any hat, my San Antonio Spurs hat. Okay, we won against the Charlotte Hornets yesterday afternoon, and on Tuesday, we look to win our 50th game of the season. Go Spurs, go. All right. All right, so let's get into the book haul, starting with the middle grade books. All right, so I found another copy of Grave Secrets, and this was a really exciting find for me because I already have one, but it's in near mint condition, which makes this my reading copy. And I think that because I just found it yesterday at a local thrift store, I think that was the universe's way of telling me that this is going to be one of my reads for Old School April next month. So that's exciting. I found this Apple vintage Apple paperback book called The Wednesday Wizard, and the author is Cheryl Jordan. So Cheryl Jordan has written at least one point horror novel. It was called The Juniper Game. I know that Alex the Bookubus read it and did a review on it for last year's Old School April, I believe it was. I'm pretty sure it was for Old School April. If not, it was in one of her monthly reading wrap ups. But yeah, Cheryl Jordan, same author. She's also written other books published by Point that weren't necessarily point horror. And so this was an exciting find. Let's look at the cover because it's just a classically good vintage 90s cover. You have a little boy and he's holding up like what is that? Like a necklace with a brooch on it, and he looks at it in, I can't tell if it's amazement or if it's horror or if it's a combination of both. But there's like spider webs in the room, and it does look like something kind of eerie is going on. The tagline on the front reads, Wednesday is going to be weird. So let's go ahead and read the synopsis on the back. Be aware of the dragon. Trying to warn his absent master, the wizard of dragon danger, Weasel, makes a slight miscalculation in a magic spell. Suddenly, he has been beamed 7 centuries into the future. He is stunned at the magic of the place, motorcycles and telephones and baths practically every day. But most horrifying and amazing of all is the dragon. So I did not read the synopsis on the back when I found it at the thrift store. I just saw the name Cheryl Jordan on the cover. It was a vintage Apple paperback in good condition, so I bought it. Realistically, I don't see myself reading this one because I'm not really that into fantasy. I'm into horror and thriller. Excuse me, sorry about that. All right, then I found another vintage Apple paperback, and this is part of a series, and it's called Scream Mates. And this is book number 2 in the series. And I think that I found another vintage Apple paperback sports related book last year, and I showed it off in a book haul. I don't know if this is part of that series or not. I'm going to have to check, but the title of this book is Aliens in the End Zone by Kieran Flynn. And this is Scream Mates number 2. And the tagline on the front reads Terror on the Gridiron. And look at that cover. A boy and a girl playing football because they let girls play football back then. I mean, there was that movie, The Little Giants, where Shauna Waldron played Becky the Icebox. That just looks odd to me. I mean, considering the times. Let's go ahead and read the synopsis on the back because just seeing a girl in a football uniform in a book from the 90s, it just piques my curiosity. Okay, the Pee-wees face an alien blitz. Who is that person underneath the silly Mookie the Martian costume? No one on the Rockville Rockets football team knows until teammates Johnny Nielsen and Kristen Talley discover that their new mascot really is from outer space. Weird things start to happen on the Rockets playing field. Then a creepy creature turns up on the sidelines, and now their next game could decide the fate of the world. Can Johnny and Kristen survive a sci fi sack attempt? Or will they fumble the ball in the biggest game the galaxy has ever seen? That actually does sound pretty cool. There's a sports commentator named Nick Wright, and he's famous for, like, whenever they debate who's the greatest of all time or who's the better player between this guy and that guy, he always says, like, okay, if the aliens come down and you needed to leave the game-winning shot in the hands of one man, do you pick this guy or do you pick that guy? And so that's kind of what this book reminds me of. All right, now I got one more vintage middle grade for you, and this is a Troll Publishing. The author's name is George Ella Lyon, and the title is Here and Then. And here's the book. Okay, so you see this lovely young lady kneeling in front of a gravestone in a graveyard with a ghost in the background. Very compelling cover, very well done. And this thing is in like near mint condition. Okay. The tagline on the front reads, "Has Abby met a ghost?" And the synopsis on the back reads, "Abby is taking the journey of a lifetime. Abby thought playing the part of a nurse named Eliza Hoskins in her parents' Civil War reenactment group might be fun. She even decided to write in her diary about the experience. What she didn't count on was that Eliza would begin to take over the diary and her life." Ooh, that sounds good. All right. So let's go ahead and move on to my young adult books. All right. So this is a repeat, and let's see how many pages there are. I might do this one for Old School April, because I already have one, but it's in like mint or near mint condition, and this is vintage. It's from 2002. So I found a beat up reading copy of The House Next Door by Richie Tinkerly Cusick, and this was a Simon Pulse publishing, so it's not one of her point horror books because it's published by Simon Pulse, but it does say teen fiction on the spine. And it's been a long time since I've looked at the cover, read the tagline, read the synopsis. So some years ago, I did do a book haul featuring this book, but I'm considering reading it for Old School April, considering the hunting trip that I took yesterday. So let's go ahead and look at the cover first. So you see this estate with these exquisite iron gates, and they're opening, and you see the creepy ghostly face of a man. Okay, good looking, compelling cover. I like the colors. And the tagline on the front reads, "A timeless love and a terrible tragedy." Okay, that sounds interesting. Let's read the synopsis on the back now. Haunted house. On a whim, Emma Donovan bets her twin brother Charlie that she can spend the entire night alone at the spooky abandoned house next door. The place is seriously creepy, but she's determined to overcome her fears and prove her brother wrong, until she finds herself reliving a horrific night from the house's past and a passionate love with a handsome and strangely familiar young man. When Charlie finds her, he's sure it was all just a dream, Yet Emma has persistent paranormal experiences involving the house and the young man from the past. As her dreams intensify, Emma becomes convinced that they are very real and that she has a dreadful part to play in the supernatural reenactment of a tragic love. This sounds pretty good, actually. I don't know, it's kind of a big book. I mean, we're talking a whole 354 pages. The book I'm reading right now only has 245 pages. All right. No, but that does sound good. All right. Then I found a backup copy of Spring Break by Barbara Steiner. So I already have one copy, but it's like in mint condition and it's in a protective sleeve. This one right here I found at the thrift store that's closest to my work, and it was the only point horror book that they had in stock that day. I nabbed it, and even though it's in super good condition, it's going to be my reading copy, and I'm going to actually try to read it this month, just because it's springtime and spring break is here, so I just feel like it's within the right season to reach for this one. All right, I and then the thrift store that's closest to my apartment, I found these guys. So I found another copy of Don't Look Behind You by Lois Duncan, and I picked it up because I don't have it with this cover. And I do enjoy finding these really old editions of Lois Duncan books. I just want to see when it was published. Okay, so it was copyrighted in 1989, published in 1990. All right. So let's just look at the tagline on the front. So I'm guessing that's a girl's hand holding a landline phone, the one with the cord, and you see a man's leather glove clad hand grabbing her wrist. Okay, so that's kind of an eerie looking cover. There's no tagline on the front, so let's go ahead and read the synopsis on the back. The master of suspense, Lois Duncan, don't look behind you. How can April give up her name, her friends, her boyfriend, Steve, and everything she's ever known? April Corrigan feels like her life is over when she learns that her father has been working undercover for the FBI and the family must relocate under the Federal Witness Security Program. No one can reach them now, or can they? And that sounds interesting. It does. But I told some viewer slash subscriber that my next Lois Duncan book after Stranger with My Face would be Down a Dark Hallway. And that's one that I'm hoping to get to this year. So this will not be my next Lois Duncan read. All right, and then no, not even lastly. So I found another copy of The Dead Game by A. Bates, but this is like a reprinting, and there's this thing on the cover that says $3.50 in value now, only $1.99. So I and it looks just like the original cover except for that little thing, but there's nothing embossed. I compared it to my reading copy and my collector's copy, and they're embossed. And so I don't know what's up with this reprinting. Doesn't really say anything on the copyright page. I don't know, maybe it was just a promotional. I mean, just that plain, that simple. Okay. All right, let's move on. These last four are super exciting because I know that all the cool kids in this community have books in these series, and I didn't. So I have a copy of Zodiac Chillers, and this one is called Pisces Drowning, and the author's name is Ellen Strieber. I wonder if she's related to. No, Stieber. Oh, okay. I was going to say, I wonder if she's related to Whitley Strieber, but it's just Stieber. Stieber. I'm going to say Stieber. Okay, and this one is called Pisces Drowning. I want the Aquarius one because I'm an Aquarius. And this is the age of Aquarius. It's all about me. Okay, so I really like the cover. I don't know if that chick is a mermaid. I'm guessing she is, because if you look at her top, you can kind of see scales, or they could be sequins. I'm not 100% sure, but the tagline on the front says or reads, "Stormy Sea of Love." Now let's read the synopsis on the back of this one, because I'm very curious. All right. Water signs go down together. Jenna's grounded for visiting her boyfriend, Nikki. He's locked up for drowning his best friend. One dark night, Nikki appears in Jenna's room. She believes in him and helps prove his innocence. But on prom night, she'll learn if Pisces should beware the sign of the crab. That sounds really interesting. I want to get my hands on the rest of this series. I really do. Okay. Then I found another one in the Scream series, and this one's in mint condition. I can't read it. Well, it's near mint. I mean, there's a little bit of damage here on the back corner of the cover, but no biggie, pretty negligible. All right, so this one is called The Admirer, and the author of this one is Deborah Franklin. I think that Joe Gibson was the author on The Dead Girl, which is the other one that I have. And so the tagline on the front reads, "His affection was deadly," and great looking cover. Look at this chick. She's opening this box, heart-shaped box of chocolates, and blood comes pouring out, and the look on her face. Yeah, that's just super interesting. Okay, so let's read the synopsis on the back. Scream. Roses are red, violets are blue. You're my true love, and I'm going to kill you. It's kind of romantic, actually. All right. Synopsis on the back. After breaking up with her boyfriend, 17-year-old Morgan Haidt vows to swear off guys forever. Then she starts receiving gifts from a secret admirer. At first, Morgan is thrilled to be the object of someone else's affections until the gifts turn ugly and nasty. Soon, phone calls filled with heavy breathing are waking Morgan in the middle of the night, followed by whispered threats. Then the feeling that someone is watching her every move. Because someone doesn't want to just love Morgan, he wants to love her to death. I mean, you gotta admit, this sounds really good. And I love the puns, and it's just great. All right, so then I got these guys, okay? And I've never heard of the series, never heard of this author. These are Westwind Publishings, and I do have a small collection of Westwind books, but this one is Midnight Secrets, Volume 1, The Temptation by Wolf Rip. Never heard of this person. But this is a good looking cover. I like the fog in the background. I like the, late 80s, early 90s looking young woman walking through these, really classy iron gates. I mean, great looking cover. Look at the font of the title, Midnight Secrets. I mean, great looking cover. I like the lavender on the spine and the back of the book. That contrasts with the darker purples on the cover. Geez, this looks good. So the I'm only gonna do book number one. I'm not gonna do the other book. Okay. So here's the tagline on the front. How can Kendra resist the man of her nightmares? Love it. Okay, synopsis on the back. You will know me as Ravel, he told her. At first, Kendra thought the handsome stranger who haunted her dreams existed only in her imagination. Now she knows that Ravel is as real as flesh and blood. She senses that he is truly evil, but she finds him totally irresistible. Soon, Kendra learns the terrifying truth about Ravel. For centuries, he has preyed on young women, drawing them to him and then killing them. Unless she can stop him, Kendra will be next. Does she have the power to save herself, or will her attraction end in death? All right, so that sounds really good considering I just got done reading Sinclair Smith's point horror novel, Dream Date. This sounds very similar. It sounds very Nightmare on Elm Street esque, just like Dream Date. Except this is apparently a trilogy. Now, I have book number one right here, and right here, I have book number three, Numa Heltois. All right, this one is called The Fury, and I just want, okay, so one sec. Okay, I just glanced at the back cover just to see if it was the same girl or not, because it kind of looks like her. But yeah, I don't have book number two in the series, but I'm gonna. And I do want to read the series because I really love the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. I loved Dream Date by Sinclair Smith. And this sounds really good. It's right up my alley, so why not? Yeah, I'll pull the trigger. I'll buy it online. All right, so now let's go ahead and get into my adult books. First things first. I used to own this book a long time ago, but then I ended up donating it. I don't know why. But this is A Kiss of Shadows by. Sorry, guys. This is A Kiss of Shadows by Laurel K. Hamilton, and she's the author of a lot of books, and it's all like paranormal romance, erotic paranormal romance, oftentimes with a horror twist. I've heard good things about this book. I never read it, even though I used to own it. I found it at a thrift store yesterday, and they weren't exactly afraid to charge a little bit extra for it, because I know that it has gone up in value. So I have no idea whether this is a first printing or not, but it's in mint condition. The dust jacket's in mint condition. The pages have yellowed a little bit, so I'm guessing it's a little bit older. So that was cool. I would like to get around to reading it someday. Here's one that I've never had before. This is another Anne Rice book, and it's called Angel Time. And on the back of the book, the only thing it says is there were omens from the beginning. And I want to read the synopsis on the inner dust jacket, so let's go for it. Anne Rice returns to the mesmerizing storytelling that has captivated readers for more than 3 decades. In a tale of unceasing suspense set in time past, a metaphysical thriller about angels and assassins. The novel opens in the present. At its center, Toby O'Dare, A contract killer of underground fame on assignment to kill once again. A soulless soul, a dead man walking. He lives under a series of aliases. Just now, Lucky the Fox, and takes his orders from the right man. Into O'Dare's nightmarish world of lone and lethal missions comes a mysterious stranger, a seraph, who offers him a chance to save rather than destroy lives. O'Dare, who long ago dreamt of being a priest but instead came to embody danger and violence, seizes his chance. Now, he is carried back through the ages to 13th century England, to dark realms where accusations of ritual murder have been made against Jews, where children suddenly die or disappear. In this primitive setting, O'Dare begins his perilous quest for salvation, a journey of danger and flight, loyalty and betrayal, selflessness and love. It sounds good. What year was this? 2009. All right. Then this was kind of an exciting find. I've never heard of it before. Never heard of this author. I think this one's from the 90s. I'll double check that, but it's called The World on Blood by Jonathan Nasaw. Nasaw. Let's read the synopsis on the inner dust jacket in this one. All right. The World on Blood was an awesome piece of work, but delicate too, sparkling like a spiderweb sprinkled with dew. That's a blurb. I don't know who it's from, but okay. Never before has an author portrayed the dark side of human obsession with such spellbinding authority, such vivid imagery, such haunting mastery. But that is exactly what novelist Jonathan Nasaw has done in The World on Blood, a stylish, supercharged tale of eroticism and suspense. This gripping thriller takes you into a world where innocent men and women alike are irresistibly corrupted, where newborn babies are kidnapped, and where blood is the ultimate aphrodisiac. It takes you into a world stocked by dazzlingly handsome and elegant James Whistler, master seducer, who finds his perfect partner in exquisitely beautiful Lourdes Perez, a cohort who matches his appetite for erotic expression. It takes you into a world shattered by the struggle between good and evil as Nick Santos, the one man who knows how darkly dangerous Whistler is, puts his life and the lives of the woman he loves and the baby he just fathered on the edge of the abyss. And in a desperate race against time and a seemingly omnipotent adversary, Nick battles mortal peril that has never been closer or more terrifying. With a vivid cast of characters who span the spectrum of virtue and vice, and scenes that move from the forests of Northern California to the streets of San Francisco and to a Nevada desert resort where sensual abandon is a way of life. The World on Blood gives voice to the forbidden side of passion and plays itself out with harrowing fascination. Not since Anne Rice's Interview with a Vampire has the vampire myth been so boldly reimagined. Jonathan Nasaw is the author of 3 previous novels. He lives in Northern California. Interesting. That's what he looks like. Never heard of this book. If you've heard of this book, if you've read it, please let me know in the comment section below. I'd like to get around to reading that one someday. All right, then here's a repeat. So in a recent book haul, like in recent months, I found a whole bunch of books from this author, Claire McNally. And I found the whole Ghost House trilogy. And then I found another book that wasn't part of the Ghost House trilogy. Well, this is Ghost House, and it's beat up. So this is a book that I might want to read because this is gonna be my reading copy. All right. Then I found this book by John Saul called Guardian. Oh, you know what? This was from like 2 book hauls ago. It was just near the stack of the books that I just bought recently, so I'm not going to show that one. I got 2 more for you. This is a leisure fiction printing by an author named Simon Clark, and the book is called The Tower. And I have like 3 or 4, maybe even 5 other books with the exact same premise, but let's go ahead and read the synopsis on the back. The tower stands in solitude. What began as a 17th century manor house has grown over the centuries into something very different, something evil. There are the stark walls, the shadow-filled rooms, the lonely corridors, but the tower is haunted by much more than ghosts of the past, and it can do far more than simply terrify. It has a dark heart, and it has grown restless. When 5 unsuspecting young people agree to stay there as house sitters, they soon learn that visitors are not welcome in the tower. That sounds good. When was this written? August 2005. That sounds about right. But, it's still vintage at this point. As of this year, it's vintage. And then I got one more book for you. And it's another Richard Lehman book, Come Out Tonight. So I think that I have about 8, 9, maybe 10 Richard Lehman books at this point. Sorry, Dry Desert Weather. All right, so I found this one yesterday at the thrift store closest to my apartment. I was so excited. I was like, yay, another Richard Lehman book. I know I don't have this one. So I bought it, came home, and I pulled up Kelsey's video where she ranks Richard Lehman books that she's read. She's read this one, and she ranked it as the least favorite or second least favorite Richard Lehman book that she's ever read. And so that was a little disappointing. But some of the ones that she rated very high are some of the ones that I have. So I'll read those when the time comes. All right. Let's go ahead and just look at this cover. Okay, I like the black and I like the copper fonts in Richard Lehman's name and the title. And you have a scared looking woman peeking through the blinds. Okay, very cool looking cover. Very simple, but very compelling. All right. Oh, he's got a blurb from Bentley Little on the spine. I've always been a Lehman fan. Bentley Little. So I've read a few Bentley Little books, never read anything from Richard Lehman. All right. And then, he's also got a blurb from Stephen King, Jack Ketchum, Dean Koontz. I mean, good for this guy, right? All right, so here's the synopsis on back. If you've missed Lehman, you've missed a treat, Stephen King. Okay, so here's the synopsis. Sherry's getting nervous. When Dwayne left for the 24-hour Speedy Mart, he said he'd be back in 10 minutes, but that was 20 minutes ago, and that store isn't some place you generally want to go at this time of night. Then Sherry hears a noise from up the street. It could have been a car door slamming or a backfire, but it sounded like a gunshot. Sherry tells herself she has nothing to worry about. Still, she puts on her clothes and heads out into the night. She's afraid of what she'll find, but she has no idea of what's really in store for her. If she did, she never would have left the safety of her home, and she never would have met a madman named Toby Bones. I mean, It sounds good. Um, just because I live in New Mexico and New Mexico is famous for the Roswell incident and all that, I just saw this picture of Richard Lehman with these aliens, and I was like, he's not from New Mexico, is he? I don't understand why he's standing there with aliens. Oh well. But yeah, that was my book haul this time. It was I feel like this was a good one. I definitely got some stuff that I'm proud to have in my collection, and I'm really glad that I found some beat up reading copies of certain titles. But thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know in the comment section below if you have any of these or if you've read any of these and what you think. All right. Take care. Have a great week, everybody. Horns up. Peace out.